Hi, I'm Sid Marsh, and welcome to Inside View. Today I have with me in the studio Tony Tyrell from Bret Harte High School. He's going to tell us all about the sports complex. Welcome.
Thank you very much. In 1972, we decided we were going to move to Angels Cap after being in San Jose and so much problems with drugs and stuff, and we had 3 teenage girls.
This is what brought you up here?
Yeah,
okay.
So in 1972, on a Sunday morning after church, I said, let's drive up there. Mr. Middleton, I had sent a resume to him, and he says, get up here. So I came up here, and we drove down Main Street, and I got halfway down Main Street, and I said, let's get out of here. I said, I don't even see a body or a dog. How can you make a living here? No, she said, you promised him, so we'll meet. So we went over to Mr. Middleton's house and met his lovely wife and Hank, and sat down. And after talking with him for half an hour, I was almost sure I wasn't going to come up here. He said, well, it's your store. What do you want to do? And
he was going to just turn the store over to you?
You know.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'd like to go and look at it. So we took us down to the store, and they had all kinds of clothing in there, which I thought, my God, this stuff has got whiskers on it. How's he doing business here? You know, I come from a department store. So he said, what do you think's in here? And I said, well, gee, Hank, just guessing at it, probably $100,000 inventory. And I thought, my God, you know, you're supposed to turn your inventory 3 times a year. I know he isn't doing that business. So he said, well, whatever it is, you tell me what you'll give me. I said, well, we're going to take an inventory. No, we don't need an inventory. I said, well, you want to sign a contract? No, we don't sign any papers. You and I will shake hands, and if you agree on a certain amount, then that's what you pay me, and you pay me when you can. We went out in the car to go home, and I said, Hank, I ought to think about this. And I got in the car and told my wife, I said, man, I don't think so. I said, I never heard of such a thing. Coming from a department store, you crossed every I and every T, you know.
Sure.
So he called me up and he said, we'd sure like to have you buy it. So my wife said, well, why don't you go up and try it? He said, yeah, come up here and live with me for 3 weeks and see if you like. If you don't, we'll find out. I was getting more worried all the time, you know. So I came up here and looked at the inventory, and I said, well, Hank, you got about 100,000. There's only about 60,000 of it saleable. I said, this stuff's been here a long time. Give me $60,000. Okay, I said, now, you know, the company I left, my money's all tied up in their stock, and I have to wait a year to pull it out, leaving so soon. Well, that's all right. He said, give me $1. So we gave him $1, sat down, shakes hands, said, okay, now you come up here and we'll start working at it, and worked there, and God, the first year we just did fabulous. He couldn't believe it. We had people
What year did you move up?
72.
72.
72. Okay. And it was very successful, and they were very, very wonderful to us and my family, and helped us get relocated. So we were here about a month, and he said, now I want you to meet the man that knows everybody here, and that's the Undertaker, Duford Johnny. Oh, okay. So went over and sat down with Duford and met him, and he said, now I'm going to tell you one thing. No matter what you say, you never run anybody down, because we're all related here. So that was our experience at coming up here, and it was truly ended up being a God's blessing that we got here.
Then how'd you get involved with Bret Harte?
Well, I was working about in '76, I think, 2 years. They said, Mr. Tyrell, did you ever belong to a chamber? I said, yeah, I worked in a chamber down in San Jose. He said, would you help us get started Chamber of Commerce in the county? So we started Chamber of Commerce, got that going. And so then the next thing, Bob Bach was the superintendent at the time, and he said, you know, you've got a lot of business experience. We'd like you to run for the board. And I said, well, you know, Hank said, better not do that, because he did that and run for the supervisors here, and about his business dropped off about 50%. He said,
can't please everybody.
Never can make anybody happy.
Right.
So we went along, and Then there was a big fire, I think, in '04. Was it that when the big fire was?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
actually just before '04.
Just
yeah.
for that. And one of the board members was on the fire department. Well, he got called away for a few months and came back, and he said, I'm not going to go back on the board. So Mr. Bach said, well, I'll get you appointed on the board if you will. And I said, okay, you appoint me on the board. So then I went on the board then, and I've been on there 18 years now. And got
The board for Bret Hart.
Yeah, and I still got 2 years to go. And in the meantime, I was president of the Veterans Board for 28 years, for when I first got here, and got some work and got them going and things. So when I got on the school board, Mr. Bach said, you know, Tony, we're in kind of bad shape here. This school needs some ump. We got to clean the place up. We got to do this. We got to do that. He said, how would you be chairman? Well, I said, oh, I'd love that. I'll love that. I said, you know. So Joan Lark was on the board then. It's a fabulous leader for all of us, and Dr. Smart and stuff. So they said, we need get football field. We need the ladies' gym. They took me up there, and in the ladies' gym, the floor was dirt in some corners, and there's rats in there. And my kids would come home and tell me, Dad, when are you going to do this? So we worked on that, and then I said, you know, there's 19 acres across the street over here behind Safeway stores. Who owns that? Well, Bob Bach said, Crespi family. I said, well, could the school buy it? And I said, he said, well, yeah. He said, I think we will have. So then Dr. Smart and I sat down with the Crespi family and talked to them on and off, and then finally agreed upon a price. So then after we get a price, 2 months, I have two guys walk in my office down there and say, we're from Santa Barbara, we're environmentalists. I understand that the school just bought 19 acres there. Well, we're going to have to look at that. You know, there's environmental impact there.
Oh, yeah.
So they come back about 2 hours and said, oh, there's some rare birds there, there's rare grass there. And I said, well, hell, I never saw any birds there. Oh, yes. We'll have to condemn 3 acres. So I said, Elliot, you know, we're in trouble here now. We're ready to lose. Well, he said, let's go back to the Crespi family and see if they'll lower the price a little bit. So we did. So yeah. Lauren went back, and Lauren was in charge of it, and he's passed away, a wonderful man now. First of all, he said, you know, we weren't going to meet with you because we thought you were going to ask us to donate the property.
You were willing to buy it.
Yeah. So they lowered the price. So I said, okay, Elliot, now the next thing we got to do is we're going to go to Sacramento. And he was a strong Republican, I was a strong Democrat. So we're going to spend 3 days there. I said, now, you take all the Republicans here, and I'll take all the Democrats, and knock on the doors, and let's get some commitment for some money to get started down here. And he said, oh, yeah, you know, you get real proud. So come back that evening at 4 o'clock or 4:30, and he said, I said, how do you do? Not worth a day, not worth a darn. I said, all those rich Republicans, you couldn't get any money out of them? I said, I got all kinds of money out of these poor little Democrats.
Oh, okay, you did good.
So that really started it. And so then we got our first grant was about $750,000. And
whatever happened about the condemned land? Did you?
The what?
The condemned land, the 3 acres that were condemned.
Oh, we had to give it to them.
Oh.
But then 2 years later, which irritated me tremendously, now if we would pay $50,000, everything would go away.
Oh, okay. There's a price.
And I said, now wait a minute, how can this happen? He said, well, what we do is we buy land someplace else that replaces this land.
Mitigation,
I said,
right.
What an out you guys got. So anyhow, and So we went to work, and then I had to get some extra money, so I said, I'd like to approach some of these business people and see if they'll put up $25,000 each, and we'll give a little concrete sign with their names on there by the baseball field, which I had 5 of them. So Nancy Whittle and Janet Kuslich, oh yes. So I ended up getting that. Well, that was my money to get started because the state wanted matching money. You know, sometimes when you ask for money, on this one I had to come up with, I forget what it was, but we made it and we got it. So then we said, well, okay. Well, then we start leveling off the ground, and the city come in and said, well, you know, the main sewer line for all those stores up on 49 run right down the middle of that property, and they're all clay types and they all leak. So you have to replace all those pipes before you do anything for the school. So, man, you know,
we're jumping through hoops here.
Yeah. So we finally got that done, and then we went forward, and the first thing we finished there was tennis courts, and then we had sort of a little ribbon cutting just for the tennis courts. We had a pro come down, and I got to serve him the ball the first time, so that was a tennis court. So then the next thing we started on was the aquatic center, and we put in an aquatic center there that was second to none. But we did it all under a real good environmental thing, where our pool, the old pools, you'd have a trough where you get so many kids in, the water would run away and go into the thing. Okay, in ours, you can put 200 people in the pool and the level of the water will change less than an inch.
And how does that happen?
We have a 50,000 gallon tank underground that takes the water. When they get out, it puts it back in the pool. And that helps on
so it compensates.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that helps the maintenance because it helps the chemicals not running away with the water. The water's not running away. And so that would really helped us. And then the next thing we said, well, now, you know, to heat a pool like this, we're going to have to put something on the roof so we can get all the water heated. Right. So we negotiated for that, and we got that put on there, and got that all finished. Got the pool pretty well ready to go and open, and the first month or two, it was real hot, and the pool went up to 90-degree temperature. We had no control.
Oh, okay.
In the control rooms. So we said, well, now we're going to have to go back and go in there. And so then we had to go back, get an engineer and say, how can we do the same thing on the pool as we, the water coming off the roof as we do on there. So we put in another sensitizer and another container in there. And
so it's state of the art now.
When the water got at 82 degrees and we could control 82, we could shut it off. It would hold the water. When the temperature would drop, the water would automatically come in and heat the pool, the temperature, and heat the also the showers and all that, you know. And then we did the baseball and softball field, and at the same time we did the tennis field. We did volleyball and basketball courts. So we got that all finished, and then we finally have had some problems with the settlement of the ground. This ground that moves up here, and it's very, very delicate. So then the other thing
So how did you correct that?
Well, you have to do different reinforcements.
Oh, okay.
Like the pool, we had to do different reinforcement, knowing that it possibly would shift. The other thing you have to do is when you're the city said, well, we don't know if we can give you water for irrigation over there, all the lawns for the baseball, softball field. Okay, so I went out and I got the guy come in and dug well number 1.
Oh, okay.
I got 55 gallons. Well, that wasn't going to be enough. So then I moved the other one way up to the other side, and we got another 50,000 gallons, so we were fine on the irrigation water.
You have your own well water.
Yeah. So we had to, of course, bring the 6-inch pipe across the road Murphy Grade Road to bring for the pool and drinking water and stuff. We could not use, we only did agriculture, what they call agriculture water for irrigation and stuff. So we finally got that all finished, and then come along and he said, well, you know, we need we had to put 2 restrooms up there, so we put those in, or scheduled them. We didn't do it right away, and then they asked us, said, we know we need a classroom and a storage room and stuff. And they said, well, the state said, if you make it a classroom, we can give you a 50-50 match.
Oh, that helps.
So our man that was working with us all the time advised us, you know, make sure it's a classroom. 1/3 the classroom, 1/3 restroom, 1/3 is the storage room for the upkeep. So we got that all finished and going. And over the years, we have set some tremendous records of helping, and statistics here. You know,
Do you have some to give us?
Yeah. For instance, back in the year 2008, we had over 3,000 people attend just pay to swim. We had over 1,900 because of programs we set up. We opened the pool at 6 o'clock in the morning for the professional lap swimmers, a national organization.
Okay.
Doctors and stuff come on there. And then we have a young lady that comes in fact, she was a graduated Bret Hart. Her father was a band leader for Bret Hart for years. She's sort of a therapist. She comes in at 7:15 for an hour and a half, giving not just exercise, but healthy exercise for if you had surgery and so on.
Okay,
so
like
forth.
water aerobics,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. Yeah.
So then we started the water aerobics. And
Okay.
did that ever go over? We average about 45 to 50 in every class. We have one at noon.
It's a big class.
Yes, and then one at night. And of course, you know, I was in the Naval Air Force. And so I hadn't been in the pool yet. And so there's this group of ladies out there, and I walked in and said, oh, Mr. Tyrell, why don't you come in the pool? I said, now look, my mother taught me 1 woman at a time is enough. You think I'm getting in there? I don't swim. They said, what do you mean? You were in the Navy. How could you not swim? But I did. I got through the Navy. So anyhow, then we have programs from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. And we have the hardest time this year finding enough space and time to take care of everybody.
Really?
And one of the reasons is Calaveras High School pool was shut down. They have major problems. That's open to public. The other public pool is Murphy's. That's completely gone.
Right.
See? And now the other thing is that because we get tax dollars, we're not just high school. That facility is open to everybody in the county. We have to sign every year. I had to go over and sign with the supervisor. I have a 20-year contract as a sponsor to get my money. And each year we have to send them a notice that they sign and we sign. Everything's fine. And what the sponsorship means, if the school was to go belly up, Calaveras County supervisors would have a 19-acre sport complex.
Oh, okay.
See, so that would keep going. Well, now I'm going to be asking, did ask them, they're going to go, we have only 4 years left on the 20-acre one. Now I want them to sign for 30 years, so that would be 34 years to be our sponsor. Marie Calloway was the only one that's on the board now that signed then, and I talked with her and I talked with our supervisor, and no problem, because there's really no financial worry to it. Everything is paid and in fine shape, you know.
We sure don't want the high school to go away.
Yeah, and I think the high school will be there longer, maybe the super.
There you go.
You know, and so we did a tremendous effort working with them in the city. We asked the city first, and the city administrator at that time said no, they wouldn't sponsors, so I went to the county. We have, successful with the swimming teams. We come in second only Sonora, which outnumbers us quite a bit in our league now, and water polo. And we have swim lessons, which I really like, because I know that when these little kids that are in there at 5 and 6 years old, someday they'll be able to save their own life and somebody else's life, possibly, and you look at that. And then also,
maybe you should learn to swim.
Well, they all promised me they want me to come down. I know, I agree with you. But then we have, every year, this is the first year they didn't do it, we have what they call the special ed kids, that we even put some in baskets and float them around for an hour or so out there and put in lifeguard. And there's a little kid there, was a fabulous little boy from Stockton. And of course, each 3 students have an adult to take care of them. So they introduced me to him, and I thanked him for coming and had a nice talk. So he come over to me and said, Mr. Poolman, can I swim in your pool whenever I want to? I said, absolutely. Well, his lady who was in charge of him said, Mr. Tyrell, you know what you just did? I can't be here anytime he wants to swim. But to see these kids.
So he was from out of the county.
Yeah,
it sounded
we had
all
from
over.
Tuolumne County. We had 4 or 5 buses come every morning with these kids, And you go by and you see this. There's no words can tell you.
So this is more of a regional center, not
Oh
just
yeah, yeah. It's open to everybody to pay. Now, one of the things I did do, because I'm a Korean Navy veteran, I made sure on the board that the veterans never paid over $2 to swim.
Okay, there's a veterans.
And I made sure the seniors didn't pay. But we probably have the best arrangement for the public to pay. You can swim all day there for $4. And I don't know where you can go anyplace else and be entertained like
for
that.
$4, yeah.
Yeah. Now then, we also, to get families going in, we have family nights on Monday and Friday. Well, then we only charge $2, and that's
for the whole family, or?
Yeah, no, $2 each. Though,
each, okay.
Instead of the adult.
The 4. And
that's from 7 till 9. Those nights, special.
Are you getting a good turnout?
Oh, as I say, really our numbers now, we're talking next year, where are we going to get the time? Where are we going to get it? Because we close it in the end of October. Well, they actually close in 2 weeks to the public, because one of the things in the contract is that the students use the pool all year. So that's not open to the public. Once the school opens, then it's the school's.
Oh, you can't share it?
No, they can come in certain times after hours, but during school hours they can come in there, and stuff, and work with that. But now, as I say, I'm writing a grant now. And the main thing that I'm trying to do is to get lights on the baseball and softball field, because I feel here we got a facility we could get kids started with leagues and night and get them off the streets probably, and help them with that. Grant writing is not the easiest thing to do.
No, it's a very special skill.
I would say the shortest time I've ever spent on a grant was probably a year.
The shortest is a year.
The longest was 2.5 years.
Oh.
Now this one here is a little different, but it's got 40 questions. And like the first question is, where you're going to put lights at the baseball field? Okay, you go out there and you make a circle. So many miles around that circle. How many minorities? Any recreation facilities available,
Interesting.
You get so many points. Then they goes beyond that, okay? Then not only if you're going to do the lights, but now what are you going to do for the environmentalist?
Yep.
Will you plant so many trees? Will you remodel or do something that will help the environment. Like all our trees out there now and bushes are watered by a drip system, so we don't waste any, water, you know, type of thing. I think the thing is that it seems like I think I'm getting towards the end of things, but then I see where things more have to be done.
You just go over around the corner and see something else.
It's a situation that I was so honored when they put my name
on the complex,
pool.
right?
And for me and my family. But I took the honor for not me, but for over many, many hundreds of people who participated.
Sure.
You know, you don't do something like that alone. Never, never. And I can never say thank you enough to them for doing that. But again, you have the maintenance. For instance, last year I think our maintenance to keep the chlorine, we have 12 lifeguards, keep everything safe and clean. We had to bring in, we didn't quite make the money, but we had over $104,000 cost.
Just for maintenance.
Just to run the pool now. So, but we did good. We were good because we did, I think, better than any of the other sports. Football, we lose money. Basketball, we really lose money. Track, we lose tons of money.
But you know, swimming, you make money.
Swimming, no, we don't swim because we have no way to charge them to come in.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm looking at that, another thing, trying to get that where we can maybe take part of the volleyball and basketball courts and move them and put bleachers up there and then have them pay to come and watch them swim.
Oh, okay.
But every time you think of something like that, where's the money?
Yeah. Well, you seem to come up with the money somehow.
So it's been a fabulous thing for me, a fabulous experience. I just sometimes don't know. You know, I go by there in the morning and I look at these the kids in there swimming and stuff, and I just practically go away with tears.
Well, you know,
it's so beautiful.
You've done a great job, Tony.
Well,
we really appreciate all your efforts.
It's just something that, you know, and on the football field, you know, the football field we put there, we had to go to court and that and fight them because they used hidden material on the field, and we had to take them to court. Cost them $116,000 last year to replace the whole football field again.
Oh.
But you have to do that.
Well, we appreciate all your efforts, and we really appreciate your stories. And thanks for being on our show.
Well, it's really an honor.
Okay.
I want to thank you people for letting me be on this show.
Well, I'm Sid Marsh. Thank you for watching Insight, and we'll see you later.